All right, before we move to goals, I would love to hear the town manager's report.
And Chair Gilfus, I would be delighted to deliver one. A reminder that beach season is upon us. We're under a heat watch starting, I think, Wednesday morning. We're expected to see temperatures up to 101 degrees on Thursday, so it is going to be warm. I would encourage anyone who hasn't or who does to check out the town beach on Lake Muscuppick. It's a great place to cool off during the summer. Our recreation department does a fantastic job maintaining it, but this is also a great time to remind folks that that beach is open only to Tyngsborough residents. In order to park in the parking lot, you have to have a Tyngsborough Beach Pass. Those are free. They're obtainable here at Town Hall in the town clerk's office, the town manager's office, and the rec department, so there's plenty of places for you to get it. You are only allowed one per household. The parking lot is incredibly small, so I think that there might have been some online chatter that you could have two this weekend. We clarified that with some residents today. It's one per household. If you lose it, there is a fee. And we do have, every summer we hire seasonal help to sit at the beach attendants that help maintain the traffic flow. So knock on wood, things have been good on our side of the beach, but come get a beach pass if you haven't. They never expire, so if you have one, no need to come to Town Hall to get a new one. I want to thank everyone who joined us on Thursday as we dedicated the town common to Marine Corporal Paul Nick King, who was killed in the line of duty 20 years ago in Iraq. We were joined by members of his family, past and present select board members, and a large number of members of our community. Thank you to Veteran Services Director Chris Derry and Ada Sierra from his office for coordinating, as well as to the American Legion Post 247 for participating. We truly had a beautiful night. A lot of people were there. It was an incredibly moving ceremony. I'd like to congratulate our library director, Catherine Growney, who was elected president of the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium recently. The MVLC, as it's called, is a network of public libraries serving 36 member communities across the region. This network allows for interlibrary sharing and provides us with access to nearly 3 million additional items that would otherwise not be available to us. We're lucky to have Kathy as our director, but the region is lucky to have her leadership through the coalition as well. Earlier today, I entered into an agreement on behalf of the town with Colonial Power Group. This is the company that manages our current energy aggregation program to provide additional discounts on supply rates for low-income customers. The agreement stems from a solar development out in western Massachusetts that was required to identify a municipality that offers energy aggregation and that was willing to take the discounts. Now, I know what you're all thinking. This sounds too good to be true. We vetted it through town council. We also vetted it through the state. Basically, at a high level, the state provides incentives for developers as they develop solar fields that they can get extra state discounts if they offer parts of the credit that they generate through their solar fields to reduce the supply rate only on low-income customers. So through our energy aggregation and through the utilities, if you're a low-income customer, you verify it every year, you get a slightly lower rate. Our customers will now see an additional lower rate. I put the number in here. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 0.02 cents per kilowatt hour. Overall, we estimate that that will save Tyngsborough low-income residents $48,000 a year. So it's a small help, but it certainly will help.
Say that number again?
$48,000 a year over the course of the year.
Total.
Total.
Okay.
Yep. It doesn't involve a solar development in Tyngsborough. There was literally nothing we had to do, which is why I was so hesitant. But many of our neighbors do it. And again, if you're not already enrolled in the low-income program, you can do it through the utility. So if you contact National Grid, or because we have energy aggregation, if you contact us, we can put you in touch with Colonial Power. You have to verify it once a year. It's already one of the regular checklists that we go through when people seek services at the Center for Active Living, the Veterans Office, or the Assessor's Office, but we're happy to help people. And those that are enrolled will see this additional discount. It's not until the project comes online, so we're anticipating June of 2027. So it's not immediate, but we've now secured ourselves as getting the discount. On that same note, I'm happy to share that over the course of calendar year 2025, Tyngsborough residents in total saved nearly $630,000 by participating in our energy aggregation program. This is every customer who's on our program. For those that haven't heard of it, we rolled this out in 2017, and essentially we bulk purchase power. So when you get your energy bill from National Grid, you have two sections of the bill. One is supply, one is delivery. National Grid will always be your delivery. The supply, if you're on our energy aggregation, which everyone was automatically enrolled in unless you opted out, is right now First Point Power. Our rate is always lower than the National Grid basic rate. So over the course of the year, by being on our energy aggregation, residents saved $630,000. In the first quarter of 2026, residents have already saved $185,000. So It's the gift that keeps on giving. Multiple times now, we've negotiated with the company to add people who had opted out. The thing about energy aggregation is if you have a large solar array on your home, it isn't always beneficial, so people opt out. If you were buying it on your own, because you can go out and negotiate your own, people opt out. We are currently waiting for new rates. Our current contract expires November of 2026. I gave you an update, I think, in April that the rates weren't favorable right now, so we haven't locked in. But we will have to lock in by September. So every week, Colonial Power, which is our consultant, refreshes the rates. And as soon as we get one that they're confident is the lowest that we're going to see, we'll come back to the select board. Ultimately, you have to approve the agreements. I want to remind folks that they can sign up today for the new weekly newsletter, The Green Arches Weekly, which is set to launch its first edition on Friday, July 3rd. We'll release a new one each week, and it'll be designed so that you can digest the information in 5 minutes or less. Think of it as a more condensed town manager's report. I wanted to provide an update on our efforts to look at potential changes to town meeting to enhance efficiency and create structure. In reviewing bylaws in other communities and the topic areas that this board identified as priorities, it became clear that we are one of the few communities left that rely on Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order used to be the Bible when it came to running meetings. There's now all kinds of different organizations that have modified Robert's Rules, so you can't really find one clean version. What is incredibly common is that most towns use what's called town meeting time. It's essentially a Robert's Rules of Order, but created specifically around Massachusetts town meeting. So the Massachusetts Moderators Association puts it together. They're on their 4th edition. It's updated biannually with help from Mead, Talman and Costa, KP Law, and Harrington and Heap, those are the 3 big municipal firms. So I've purchased it. I've got the book. I'm reading it. The moderator has the book. He's reading it. We met today. We talked a lot about the time issue. A lot of that is addressed in town meeting time. So before we dove into specific policies about that, we want to have a better understanding of what town meeting time calls for. You can adopt as much of town meeting time as you want or as little. So most towns just adopt it as the governing structure. But as soon as the town moderator is done reviewing it, him and I will discuss, and we'll come back to you, probably the both of us, talking about ways we can make changes. The media department is excited to bring back a time-tested tradition, the annual photo contest. This contest, which is run through Tyngsborough Media, asks residents to submit their best photos from the community, which will be displayed online for voting. The winning photos will line the hallway here at Town Hall. If you ever walk down the hallway to the administrative offices, there's that long, boring hallway with nothing on the walls. That's where all the winning photos will be displayed. We'll update it annually. We also use the photo contest for the cover of the annual town report, the Finance Committee guidebook. So if you submit photos and it wins, it will get a lot of miles, we promise. Assistant Town Manager Walsh will be meeting with residents of the Long Pond neighborhood next week to get a better understanding of the challenges they're currently facing as it relates to the operation of the club over there. You'll remember that at your last meeting, you directed us to work over the next 45 days with Drake-It and the neighbors to hopefully negotiate a new agreement. I have a call tomorrow morning with the town manager in Drake-It, and we've already spoke a few times about what that might look like. So we expect to have an update at your July 13th meeting. We talked earlier, so I won't read the whole thing, but the Fire Station Building Committee's public feedback survey is available at tyngsboroughma.gov. Hard copies are available here in our office and at the Center for Active Living. The committee is also hosting 3 listening sessions to hear directly from residents as it works to determine next steps. A full schedule of that, as well as their upcoming meetings, can be found on the town's calendar and on the Fire Station Building Committee's page. On a staffing front, we're excited to welcome Surbi Patel to the town manager's office on Thursday as our new executive assistant. Surbi joins us from the town of Wilmington, where she served as a senior clerk in the treasurer's office for the last 3 years. She has prior experience in banking and comes to us with experience taking meeting minutes, creating and presenting reports, and much more. As the board knows, this position has been vacant since February when we promoted Jackie to the role of Director of People and Culture. So I'm very happy to have someone sitting at that desk, and Accounts Payable is thrilled to have someone paying our bills in a more regular fashion than I've been doing it. We'll begin interviews this week for the Director of Elder Services position. As you all know, Barbara Roach has announced her retirement at the end of July. Of all the applications that we've received, we've offered interviews to 5 candidates. That's a pool that includes 2 individuals with experience as Directors of Elder Services, so we have a very talented pool that we'll be interviewing. The first round will take place this week, and we'll seek to bring back 2 finalists for final round interviews the week of July 13th. The first round interview panel will include a representative from the Council on Aging, and I'll likely ask the chair of the Select Board to participate in the final round interviews. Although this appointment is an appointment of the town manager, I've always believed that collaboration is key, and so on all these big hires, I've invited a member of the Select Board. Once we make an offer, we'll invite the candidate that we select in to meet you once they get up and running. We're hoping to have somebody in the position by early August, first couple of weeks. So I'll be working with Barbara to identify how we maintain leadership over there in the 2 weeks or so that we'll be without a director. Last week, we completed the preservation work on Swan, Westford, Old Ting, Parham, Coburn, and Norris Road. I know that we've all heard from some residents about the loose stones, and I appreciate people's patience as the stones settled. I did drive the entire duration of the work on Thursday. We had very minimal stones kicking up. The first couple days are the worst. I've heard a lot of feedback about how we can make the stones more rigid. One of the key pieces of this treatment is that the flexibility in the material allows it to last a longer time. So if you drive Farwell and Locust, those are the roads we did most recently, you won't find any cracks on the road because the surface is designed to be flexible. So during rough winters and as there's moisture, it finds its way through the cracks and then it goes into the ground. So we know that there were a lot of stones in the beginning. That is normal. We got the same type of calls 2 years ago when we did this treatment method on Farwell and Locust, but I've driven every inch of those roads. They are certainly great. They're smooth. The last step is to get some line striping on them. A reminder that we only use this treatment on roads that are in fair condition. So Jake has been before us a bunch of times. We try to maintain the fair condition roads because once they fail, they cost us more money to repair. If you have continued issues or you have more questions, please call our Department of Public Works at 978-649-2310. At the board's next meeting, it will do the year-end transfers, whereby transferring surplus funds from one department to cover deficits in other departments. Our accounting department has been working with department heads to close out the fiscal year and account for any encumbrances that might be needed. An encumbrance is when you have a contract for or a bill of sale for a good or service that you purchased before June 30th, but that won't come in until after June 30th. In municipal government, we're prohibited from paying from things before they arrive. So before I can tell you how each department's going to close the year, I need to get the full list of encumbrances. So the deadline for them to submit encumbrances was today. Tomorrow and Wednesday, our accounting firm will be working to square that away. And then at your meeting on the 13th, you'll get the final year-to-date budget report, and we'll ask you to transfer surplus from one area to cover the other. At a very high level, you'll see that as we predicted during our fiscal year 27 budget planning, cannabis excise continues to trend below our predictions. We're on track to meet our projections on licenses and permits, and overall collection across all categories is trending higher than budgeted. That's what we'd expect. We do this every single year. On the expense side, as we indicated during our budget planning, utility lines across departments have been overexpended due to higher energy rates. The public facilities line supporting town hall and the library is trending over by roughly $40,000 due to unexpected HVAC and sprinkler failures throughout the year, combined with higher utility costs. Overall, we're trending under budget across all departments when you look at the general fund net performance, which is what ultimately we need to do because town meeting sets the max you can spend. So all of that, the combination of the unspent funds and the excess revenue will become part of free cash that can be spent at a future town meeting. And lastly, just a couple reminders on upcoming events. The Tyngsborough Public Library is excited to announce that the Mass Hire Mobile Career Center will be at the library beginning tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. to 12:30. They'll be here every Tuesday. Come visit to learn about job opportunities, resume building, and much more. And the Party by the Bridge is back. Join us on Saturday, August 29, 2026. The event runs in the town center from 11 a.m. until fireworks at dark. The event is jam-packed with fun for everyone, so don't miss it. As always, we're still looking for volunteers. There are so many ways you can volunteer. It looks like I'll be checking IDs with Mr. Eldridge at the alcohol tent. You sign up for 2-hour blocks, so as much or as little as you can do, and you can get information about how to volunteer at partybythebridge.com.
Based on feedback from our last meeting and typical plans for the year, last week we published a list of board and committee vacancies on tyngsborough.ma.gov and on social media to help recruit some of our motivated residents to serve on the various boards and committees that we have vacancies for. Residents who are interested should visit the town website or contact the town manager's office to learn more by calling 978-649-2300 extension 100 or administration@tyngsborough.ma.gov. Thank you.
Thank you both. Let's open it up for discussion. Select Person Marino.
Sure. First off, to echo Colin's sentiment, thank you to the Veteran Services Department for the dedication at the Town Common they put on the other day. That was a very moving ceremony, and the coordination with everyone involved was absolutely impeccable, so thank you to them. I'm glad to hear about the progress on the town meeting front. My only questions there, or I brought it up in the first conversation, public outreach. I'm assuming after you read through the town meeting time, maybe we can bring that into it a little bit.
Absolutely. And I would recommend, you're not legally required to, but once you have an idea of what changes you're looking to make, I'd recommend you have sort of a public hearing.
Sure.
In the same way the planning board does for zoning changes.
Awesome. And then do you expect that those proposed changes might be presented to us prior to the fall special town meeting?
I do believe so, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So the Westford Road work, it was interesting. On social media, I saw a couple comments saying that for people who had lived on Locust and the other roads that they had done it on, that at first they weren't big fans of it, but then as time went on, they liked it better. So that's just something else to keep in mind, that it will become smoother as time goes on. So last but not least, the budget update. I'll save comments for that, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think that's it. As always, there's way more in there than I can cover, but.
Awesome. Thank you. Select Person Galapagos.
Thank you. So I think Select Person Marino touched up on this, but do we have a target date for presenting the first draft of the proposed changes for the town meeting modernization?
I would like to be able to sit with you and the moderator at your last July meeting. He picked up the book today, it just came in, so
Nice.
I would envision that it's reasonable for us to say that at July 27th,
Right.
we'll be able to start talking to you about it.
Okay. And then, do these two items fall under it? When we were talking, before we went into this phase, we were talking about maybe looking into getting clickers. But is that part of this discussion?
Absolutely, it's kind of that's what the moderator and I talked the most about today.
Yes.
He's very supportive of it. I think that I've sensed there's a general support.
Yes,
This is likely not an October item because it has to go through the capital process.
right.
But certainly the select board would need to give us direction prior to starting the capital process that that's something you're supportive of. So yes, they go hand in hand. They just can't be implemented as quickly.
That's okay, that's something I'm supportive of, and hopefully we get it as soon
Excellent.
as we can. The second item I have is, in this discussions about town meeting modernization, will there be a theme about, I don't know if limiting is the right word, addressing reconsideration? So we can take the big ticket items and put them up front, and so we don't start a meeting with 400 people, and then when we get to the juicy part of our meeting, a quarter or a third of them have left. So reconsideration is going to be part of it?
Yes, in fact, that was the second biggest thing we spent the most time talking about today, me and the moderator. I will tease it, he agrees that making people wait to the end for the big items made sense because you didn't want the reconsideration, but also made people angry, frustrated.
Right.
What he said that he's talked to other moderators, what they do is, he still thinks that you should do the kind of like 4 or 5 housekeeping items in the beginning because that gives people time to check in. But what he said that he knows a lot of towns will do is on big items, they'll do the motion. So you have the vote on the debt exclusion. If it passes, the moderator preemptively calls for a reconsideration. You're only allowed to do 1 reconsideration per meeting, per item. So the logic is you have the vote, it passes, you get the reconsideration out of the way. A reconsideration requires a 3/4 majority, and then the vote is done. So now that same meeting, it couldn't come back up once people
Perfect.
left. So yes,
Perfect.
he's very interested in that.
Perfect.
He agrees that making
Perfect.
people wait is.
Perfect. The FY26 budget closeout. As you know, my interest in learning more about the finances, and I believe starting next month, we have an understanding that we're going to have a stand-in monthly update on our budget. That's still the plan, I imagine.
Sir?
With that, will we could we have a brief stand-in update on our 5-year capital plan as well? Or is that too much, do you think?
No, I can give you the 5-year capital plan today. I would give you the caveat that it will likely change over the fall. We never adopted a 5-year capital plan this spring because we didn't have free cash to spend.
Right.
So I can give it to you right after this meeting with the caveat that Sean will be meeting with capital asset beginning this summer.
Sure.
And that there will likely be changes before October.
I'm going to be on that meeting and learn a lot
Yes.
from
See, I
Sean.
can send that to you after this meeting.
That's okay, but I'd still like to see it, with our yearly budget, I'd like to suggest that we see the 5-year plan
Sure.
once a month at that time as well.
Can I
Capital
just
won't
get
change monthly.
clarification?
Capital won't change
Then
monthly.
great, then it's like it hasn't changed. It's like a two-second thing. I just want it to be repetitive and in there and in our minds, and if it doesn't change, we're done. The cannabis revenue, and if I understand correctly, it continues to trend below our projections. Do you think that's going to be the new normal for our budgeting process?
Yeah, unfortunately, we scaled it down in our projections for fiscal year 27 because it isn't picking up.
Yeah.
I don't envision that you're going to see. We were kind of hoping the second retailer had a slower start. They've certainly picked up to some extent, but what we knew it would never double. We opened the second one, we knew it wasn't going to double. We envisioned there would be like a little peak where people were trying both, and now I think what you're seeing is we're getting generally the same amount of business. It's just now split between the two. So I do believe the baseline we use for projections for next year is going to be, it is lower than prior years, and it will continue to be lower.
That's it. My last question, sir, on road preservation. I had the question, I think you answered it. Yes, I drove down that road, and I was like, this is bad. It's hitting my car all the time, right? But I've come to understand that we put it on roads that are in fair to good condition to prolong their life. And I was going to ask, does this method extend the life of the road versus the traditional methods that we have in place? And I think you said yes?
Yes, absolutely. If we were, make no mistake, if we dug up the road and
Oh, yeah.
rebuilt it, that would look, but yes, so we just added, on these roads, we added 15 years that we won't have to touch them. And we did it at a fraction of the cost of a traditional paving project.
So I guess my question is, if we had done a traditional paving project, it wouldn't last 15 years. It'd last 10 years? Like what?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
about-
So a traditional, when I say traditional paving, I'm talking about a full depth reclamation, which is
Right.
where we tear up the base and we rebuild the road.
Right. It'll
That'll
cost
get you
about-
30 years.
That'll get you 30.
That's
Gotcha.
much, much more expensive.
Right.
Probably
6 times more.
six
It
times
is.
more.
Okay,
Yes.
that's.
So that's what we use on the, and this is the question, I'm glad you asked this because we get this a lot. That's the treatment we use on your failed roads.
Right,
On the fair condition roads, you used to do crack sealing, which doesn't really add much. Maybe you
Right.
get 5 years.
I know.
We introduced these pavement methods 3 years ago.
Understood.
And so by using it, there's a little bit of an inconvenience in the beginning, I admit.
Good.
It's a lot cheaper and we just added 15 years to
It's
life.
good for me to socialize, so I
Yeah.
make sure I understand it.
Absolutely.
So traditional method, where you rip up the road, 6 times the cost, and the road has a lifespan of 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
For this one, where the roads are in fair to good conditions, and we don't want it to go into a bad state, it's a sixth of the cost, and it gets us 15 years.
Absolutely.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you for pointing that. I think it's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Select Person Aldridge.
Thank you. Wow, lots of stuff covered. The only thing I would add to, just to say about the dedication for Nick King, it was very moving. Nick's platoon, his brothers from the platoon had been coming every year for the last 20 years to visit his bench at Canongate, and because it was the anniversary, they were there. And I do think that Nick was kind of guiding them there because they didn't know about it until about 2 hours before that. So just very moving. I think it was fitting to have his, his Marine brothers there was just amazing, very moving, and very appropriate. So thank you to the family for allowing us to go through and dedicate that to him and to have that ceremony. The roads, I think, have been covered. Town meeting, love it. I wanted to put it on our list of goals. It has to be there. Whatever we can do to help with that, whether it's funding for capital for the clickers and/or making sure that we fully vet things and make sure that residents understand. We've got to fix town meeting and make it so that it's manageable. I've been doing it for 30 years, and you sit there and go, got to be a better way. So glad to hear that we're finding a better way for that. That's all I have for now.
Thank you. Select Person Coughlin.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry that I missed the dedication. I was away on vacation. I did see some bits and pieces on social media, and it looked to be very moving, so I am sorry that I missed that. Other than that, I have nothing else. Good job on the town manager report.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There's a lot of good content in here, and so I don't want to unnecessarily repeat what others have said. I would just say I'm glad that you pointed out that at Corporal King's dedication, seeing his fellow Marines there was unexpectedly extremely moving and very emotional. And I ended up seeing them out at Epigram after the ceremony, and we got to chatting a bit. And I would be remiss to not share that the gentleman that spoke from the platoon shared that Nick was one of 11 that they lost in Iraq, and that there was an additional 38 of their extended team that have died by suicide since then. And so, extremely difficult, and just, unbelievably tragic, but really reminds us of the important work that we get to do, and that the work that Chris and Ada are doing in Veteran Services is tremendously valuable. The ceremony was so beautiful. So just continuing to give them credit for the work that they're doing. In terms of town meeting time, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, because when we read the 5 proposals, a lot of them referenced town meeting time, and I thought, what is this book that they're all talking about?
It's a riveting read.
The fact that this is the name of the book is like silly, like it doesn't,
Yeah.
well. Would you advise that any of us also review the book in preparation for these conversations?
So my goal is to share a summary of it with you, and if the board is interested in seriously considering it, then I would. You can't check it out in the library. You have to buy it from the Mass Moderators Association. So
We'll have to talk to Kathy
Before-
as the president
Yes.
of MPLC.
So before we bought a bunch of copies for everyone, I wanted to make sure the moderator had buy-in. But yes, I think that you will find, and we'll prepare a summary, kind of like a, here's how we do it now, here's how they do it. I think you'll find we do a lot of it. It's basically an adaptive form of Robert's Rules, just with a lot of more specificity around town meetings. So let us give initial presentation to you all, and if you think that it contains things you're interested in, then I certainly would recommend that we buy multiple copies and share it around.
Perfect. For the interview for the Director of Elder Services, I would be happy, honored to serve on the interview, but would it make more sense for Adele to serve alongside you as someone that has served on the Council of Aging? Think on that. You don't need to
No,
answer
I
now.
mean, it's totally up to the committee. We have
No.
Well, we have a representative from the Council on Aging
Right.
on the first round.
Perfect, okay.
So it could be any of you. I went with the chair just because that's the easiest one to pull out, but it could be
I
any
just
of you.
want to honor your knowledge.
Thank you. I
No.
appreciate the honor, but I'm all set.
Pass. Okay, well, I look forward to being in that interview. I've driven on Old Ting Road, and it's beautiful. Props to DPW for that. The HVAC and sprinkler failures.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, the building is now almost 30 years old. The sprinklers, we get inspections every year. It's an annual inspection. But 30 years in, you start to get leaks everywhere. It's a combination dry-wet system, so it uses forced air and forced water, which makes the system much more complicated. We've replaced piecemeal sections of it. Capital has a request to do another small piece of it. But when a leak springs in the library, you got to spend the $12,000 to fix it. You can't wait. So that's the biggest thing. The HVAC, also not to be totally unexpected. Fortunately, we're not talking about having to replace whole units. That's something that you would plan for. But when you have a 100-degree day, and right now this building right here, this is where all of our servers are, serving all of the town buildings. So those just add up very quickly, and then the utility costs. They're all in the public buildings budget center. It just makes it makes stuff, but it's just the age of the building. So I suspect that as capital does its work over the summer, the initial request for a small piecemeal replacement will be a substantially larger, more complete repair, you might say.
Well, I would call on our representatives to capital asset to be on top of that. Make sure that we're getting that addressed.
We're aware.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for the updates. Nice work. Let's go to